Hello, my friends. Welcome to Thinking Differently with Kathy Rhodes. I'm Kathy, and I'm always thrilled. If this is your first time joining the podcast or the video, thank you. If it's not your first time, welcome back. I'm always glad to hear how everyone enjoys these topics. Today is a new wellness topic. So to start, I have some questions for you. Have you ever earned a belt in any sort of karate? A black belt, a blue belt, a yellow belt, a striped belt. Maybe it's not karate, maybe it's taekwondo or jiu-jitsu or hapkido or aikido. I mean, there's many options that we have out there. Have you ever earned a black belt? Have you ever studied this type of training at all? Or do you know anybody who has? Now, for all of you who have studied in some sort of martial arts, have you ever broken a board? It's a thing. My kids were young. And I sat at an event and I watched them break multiple boards. I mean, this is impressive. This is totally impressive. And a few months ago when I was at a conference, I broke a board. If you're watching on video, well, here's the two pieces of my board. I broke this board. This is the first time in my life. And I learned the secret. So do you know the secret? There is a secret on how to break a board. To break a board, actually, what the speaker did, we were in an auditorium and we had like 750 people in attendance. Every one of us broke a board. So what he did is he handed out the boards and he had us write a great big X. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but a great big X in the middle of the board. And then he said, hey, what is something that you're struggling with right now? What is something that you really want to figure out how to conquer? Well, write that on your board. Well, for me, you had to only write one word. So rather than writing lack of confidence or a challenge in my confidence, I wrote the word unconfident. Not sure if it's a word, but it is to me. I know what it means. So we wrote it in the center of the board, by the X, okay? And he said, when you hand your board to the board holder, don't look at the X. Don't look at that word that you wrote on the board. Instead, we're going to break the board and we're going to break through whatever that challenge is. Well, if I'm not looking at the X, what am I going to look at? Good question. Look at the eyes of the board holder. Somebody was holding my board for me. So don't look at the X, don't look at the board, look at the eyes of the person holding it. When you do this, when you look at the eyes or when you look past the board, then you successfully break the board. And when you successfully break the board, it doesn't hurt. My mom right away saw the video and she's like, wow, that must have hurt. Or what kind of muscles do you have? No, when you have the right form and you do it the right way, you push through the board. You don't just hit the board. You push through it. And because my eyes were on the eyes of the board holder, I pushed all the way through toward her eyes, which means I went through the board. We see this a lot in athletics. If you ever watch the Olympics, if you watch any running events, what does the athlete look like when they're at the finish line or when they're running through the finish line? For me, when I ran a 10K, it was like I was crawling to the finish line. I think when I saw the finish line, I started to slow down and I could not wait to get through the finish line. But a true runner, a true athlete, that's not how they cross a finish line. They run through the finish line. I mean, their chest is out front, and I think sometimes they're at their fastest speed. And when they run through the finish line, it takes them another half a lap to finally slow their body down. They run through the finish line, not just to the finish line. So how does this relate to us, to our health? Maybe I'm not a runner. Maybe I don't have a board to break. Well, it relates to how we train our body. To how we train our body to handle the weight that it needs to carry every single day. And yes, I'm physically talking about your weight. I don't really care what your weight is. I don't care if you like it or you don't like it. But we need to be challenging our body to push through the weight, not just to the weight that we carry. Yeah, I've always strength trained. Okay, I've just for many, many years, I've been all about hitting the gym and challenging my body. But a few years ago, I looked at all the equipment I had in my house and I thought, why am I paying to go to the gym? I can do it here. I have the hand weights and I have a bench and I have a stability ball and I have a weighted hula hoop. I've got a lot of fun stuff. I can use my body weight to strength train. So I did, and I started to lose my strength. Well, how is that happening? I carry around this weight every single day. I'm using it to strength train, and I'm losing my muscle mass. I'm losing my muscles. Well, if you're only lifting your weight, then your weight is your max. I don't want my weight to be my max. I want my weight to be my norm, the everyday thing that I'm carrying around. Well, then you need to start carrying more around all day. You need to start lifting through your weight. You need to start lifting more than your weight so that your body, your muscles, your structure, your skeletal structure, so that your whole body can handle that weight. When we lift more than our weight, it's easier to walk. It's easier to carry around this weight that we have on us. So how are you strength training? Now, real quick story. My husband, John, he's always been an athlete. He still is. He's very active. He runs marathons, half marathons, strength trains, all that good stuff. But there are some strength training exercises that I can do and he can't, because he has bad knees and bad shoulders. When you're an athlete your whole life, you tend to ruin some of your joints. And baseball and football did that, and he has some bad knees. I do some squats and some lunges. I do a Bulgarian lunge. Okay, so what is that? You take one leg and you put it like on a bench, so you balance yourself, and then you go down into a squat, and you're just squatting with one leg. Oh yeah, I can do it. I can do it with a pole to balance me, and I can do it without. And every time I do it, he's impressed. That makes me feel good, right? But he says things like, oh, there's no way I could ever do that. My knees are too bad. Well, finally, after 9 months of me working with our fitness trainer, Kale finally was able to get a hold of John and said, just let me work with you. Let me work with you one day. And I'm going to show you some exercises that are going to build the muscles above your knees. They're going to build your glutes in the right way so that your body's equipped to handle your weight. Your knees are equipped to handle your weight. And it's working. It's working. He has been able to do squats and lunges he didn't ever think he could. He's doing it without pain. That's huge. He's doing it without pain, hasn't even had knee replacement surgery, and he's building the right muscles. When you think that you're lifting your maximum weight, so we're talking maybe just one rep at your max, you're actually only lifting about 80 to 90% of what you can be lifting. So this means that you have room to lift more weights if you push yourself. Well, if your max weight is your body weight, you're actually only lifting 80 to 90% of what you can do. So you can add weight to your body very successfully and very pain-free to increase your stamina, to increase your strength. So there's the power of our body that can take on more weight. There's also the power of our mind. Just like a board, we need to push through the board. Just like our weight, we need to lift through our weight. Well, one day, Kale gave me a 75-pound weight and said, do 3 squats. Usually I average about 30, 35 pounds when I'm adding weight to my squats. 75 pounds? Are you crazy? 3 squats. I did one. And it it was hard and it hurt. And as I was struggling to stand back up, I thought, I can't do this. I can't do this. I put down the weight and I walked off the pain, and then I got really irritated with myself because what am I thinking? I can't? Of course then you can't. I need to flip that around. We also need to think through our challenges. I went right back to that weight and I said, okay, I'm going to do some more. I'm going to do 2 more. I grabbed the weight and I said to myself, I can do this. And I did 3 more. I did 3 more. I started out by saying and barely doing 1. And by changing the way I thought, by pushing through my thought process, I was able to do 3 more. The power in our bodies, but we got to challenge it. We got to add a little more weight to it. We got to push through. So here's your health challenge for the week. I want you to think about, what do you like to do to decompress at the end of a day, or to relax at the end of a day? That's important. We do need to do that, right? We need to settle our brain, get ready for sleep. So what is it? What is it that you do? Do you go for a walk? Do you play with your dog? Do you binge watch on the television? Do you zoom? No, let's doom scroll. Doom scroll on your phone. Oh my gosh, that can take up an hour to an hour and a half so easily. If you do something at night that is not active, okay? So I'm not talking about when you're on a walk, or maybe you are working out, or maybe you're strength training, or maybe you're stretching, or maybe you're doing yoga. That's all awesome. But when you're doing those non-active things, even reading a book, I want you to go find yourself some 5-pound weights. If you're watching on video, I am holding 2 5-pound weights, and these are the typical weights that you get, at any kind of store, 5 pounds each hand. I want you just to do some simple exercises while you're doing that non-active decompressing activity. Maybe you're just kind of pumping the weights with your hands. Maybe you're doing some squats. Maybe you get some 5-pound weights and you wrap it around your ankles. My goodness, those you can actually wear while you're going on a walk, while you're doing some stretching. Now, I know some of you are like, I don't have 5-pound weights. I got to wait till Amazon shows up on my doorstep, or I got to go shopping. Go to your cupboard and just grab some canned goods. They're not quite 5 pounds, but it's more weight than your body. And just start doing some kind of exercise movement with the extra weight. This is how you begin your strength training. Just add 5 pounds to your non-active activities. By doing this, you're going to go ahead and start building your muscles. You're going to build your strength. Maybe you do it during commercials while you're watching a show. Maybe you're doing it while you're social media scrolling. Maybe you're doing it while you're walking or while you're reading. Maybe however you do, get creative. Don't settle for no. Don't say you can't. Because if you say that, you're right. But you can. It could be a canned good that weighs 2 pounds. It could be a 5-pound weight. It could be a 10-pound. I don't care. Be safe. And challenge your body. Start building the muscles so that it successfully can lift through that body weight that it's got to carry around all day long. My friends, if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like what you hear because you got an attitude, please subscribe to the channel and share with all your friends. It really does help us look at the numbers and continue to give you more of what you really like and what you really enjoy. Definitely like this episode, share it with everybody. I'll see you next time. Next time we have an interesting topic. I think it's called Something Smells Funny. I'll see you then.